The next morning, life in the city of Port Harcourt continued as usual. The roads were busy, voices filled the air, and the city moved on as if nothing had happened. But inside a luxurious apartment, Obinna Eze lay fast asleep, comfortable, peaceful, unbothered, completely unaware that the consequences of his actions had already begun to unfold. Then suddenly, his phone began to ring. The sharp sound echoed through the quiet room. Obinna stared slightly, annoyed by the interruption. Slowly, he reached for the phone and answered the call, his voice still heavy with sleep. On the other side of the line was a friend, and the news he carried was not ordinary. Eze, the woman who had left his house the previous night, had gone to the hospital, but something had gone terribly wrong. The procedure had failed. The child was lost, and Eze herself did not survive. For a brief moment, everything stood still. The air grew heavy. The silence in the room deepened. Any normal man would have felt something: shock, guilt, regret. But Obinna Eze was not like most men. Instead, his face slowly hardened. There was no panic in his eyes, no sorrow, no remorse, only a cold acceptance. He let out a quiet breath and shook his head. To him, the situation was simple. She should have been more careful. She should have protected herself. She should have known better. And now, she had paid the price. Within moments, Obinna pushed the thought aside, just like every other problem in his life. Forgotten, buried, ignored. He stood up, got dressed, and prepared for the day, as if nothing had happened. And when night came, the city welcomed him once again. The clubs were alive. Music filled the air. Light danced across the room. Laughter echoed through the night. And just like before, Obinna Eze returned to his reckless lifestyle, surrounded by beautiful women, drowned in expensive drinks, lost in a world where consequences did not exist. Or so he believed. Hours later, the night began to fade. The music slowed, the crowd thinned, and Obinna finally decided to leave. His car moved steadily through the quiet streets of Port Harcourt. The city, once loud and alive, had now fallen into a strange calmness. Streetlights flickered softly. The road stretched ahead in silence. Then suddenly, he saw her. A young woman, standing alone under a streetlight. She was beautiful, but there was something about her, something unusual, something that did not quite belong to the ordinary world. Her presence was calm, too calm. Obinna slowed his car. To him, this was nothing new. Picking up women had become a habit, a routine, another part of his lifestyle. He rolled down the window and looked at her. Their eyes met. For a brief moment, the world around them seemed to pause. Then she began to walk toward him, slowly, gracefully, without hesitation. She opened the door and entered the car, sitting beside him, quiet, still, watching. Obinna smiled slightly. To him, this was just another ordinary night. Another woman, another moment, another experience. But what he did not know was that this moment was not ordinary. because somewhere beyond the world of men, a cry had been heard, a life had been taken, and the spirit world had responded. The woman sitting beside him was not just a stranger. She had been sent by forces older than time itself, sent with a purpose, and that purpose was him. Very soon, Obinna Eze would begin to experience things he could not explain, things he could not control, things that would slowly tear his world apart. Because some actions do not end in the physical world. Some actions awaken forces far beyond human understanding. And when those forces begin to move, there is no escape.
Her eyes fixed on him, watching quietly. Moments passed in silence. Then, softly, her voice broke the stillness. "I need to use the bathroom." Obinna nodded without hesitation and pointed toward the hallway. She turned and walked away. Her steps were slow, soft, almost too quiet. She moved down the hallway and disappeared into the bathroom. The door closed behind her, and then the silence returned. But inside that bathroom, something had begun. The air grew heavy, still, unnatural. Then, slowly, her body began to change. What was once human started to shift, to twist, to bend in ways no human body should. Her form stretched, her skin transformed, and within moments, the beautiful woman who had entered that house was no longer there. In her place was something ancient, something feared, a massive python, silent, watching, waiting. Then, just as quickly as it began, everything stopped. The movement, the transformation, the presence. Moments later, the bathroom door opened and she stepped out again, calm, beautiful, human, as if nothing had happened. She walked back into the living room slowly, her expression unreadable, her movements controlled. She sat down and looked directly at Obinna. Then slowly she smiled, but that smile was not ordinary. It was not the smile of a woman enjoying the moment. It was the smile of something that had already chosen its victim. Obinna lifted his drink and took another sip. Relaxed, unaware, still lost in his own world, still believing he was in control. But the truth was far from what he believed, because the woman sitting before him was not human. She had entered his home, she had entered his space, and now she had entered his life.
And before the next sunrise, he would begin to understand that not everything that looks human is human. To be continued in the next episode of Ogbanje.